Check, 1, 2.
I'll just look at that
Yeah.
one. Okay.
And here, I'll get us started and then, okay, so now all we see, oh, no, we see both now. Thank goodness. Yay, everything's from, thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to K-pop Demon Hunters Myth Meets Modern Korean Culture by Professor Choi who is a senior lecturer of Korean from UTA. We're going to have a full introduction, though, from our History Club presidents. I'm Dr. Chloe Northrup, and I organized this event. We have a small but mighty crowd in here, but we have so many people on our live stream right now. So welcome to our live stream. We're really excited for you to be here. And I want to introduce now our two History Club presidents from the Connect campus, Madison and Celine from Trinity River. And we will put something in the chat. And if you are interested in being part of our History Club and joining some awesome field trips and events, please join in the link that I'll be posting in the chat. So come on up and we will get a full introduction about today's event from our two History Club presidents.
Hello and good afternoon. My name is Madison. I am the president of the History Club for Connect Campus.
Hi, everyone. I'm Celine. I'm the president of the History Club at Trinity River.
And we would like to welcome you to K-pop Demon Hunters, Myth Meets Modern Korean Culture. K-pop Demon Hunters was released June 20th, 2025 on Netflix and is currently still sitting at the top 5 spot on Netflix. K-pop Demon Hunters quickly became an international sensation, exceeding over 325 million legal views.
Yes, she's contributed quite a lot. I think in this past week, we watched it maybe 10 times. Last week, I'd say 20, 30. It's like a nightly ritual for us to watch it. But she loves it. She's only 6, by the way. She's only 6 years old, but she loves it. Um, it has 50% female cast, or sorry, not female cast, production team, which is pretty crazy in today's day terms.
Directors Maggie Kahn and Chris Apollanis received a 92% for it on Rotten Tomatoes, if anyone still pays attention to those things. With 4 fit songs on the billboards charting the top 10s, Golden, Soda Pop, How It's Done, and Your Idol. The song Soda Pop was the first song by a male Korean K-pop idol band to chart the Billboard Top 100s, debuting at the number 10 spot on the Billboard 100s and even climbing to the Billboard Global 200s at number 3 and reaching the top 10 in at least 18 countries. That's pretty impressive if you ask me.
Golden has been streamed almost 1.5 billion times, with I'm pretty sure Madison contributing a lot to those.
Yep, I've listened over 57 times and it's probably closer to 100 now.
And then by the end of the year, it reached 2.43 billion streams. It ranked number 2 in global streams for 2025 behind Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars' Die with a Smile. Additionally, Golden has claimed the number 1 spot in over 40 countries.
So a little fun fact about this movie is that Sony, especially the CEO, Robbie, turned down the rights to the movie and ended up selling the rights to Netflix, thinking that it wouldn't be worth Sony's time. Boy, were they wrong. From there, Netflix cut the movie down from 2.5 hours to 3 hours to 1 hour and 35-minute runtime. We would also like to note here that one of the scenes that was cut is where we see Rumi and Jinu go to the aquarium on a date, and we were robbed of a scene where they share a kiss. I'm still salty.
I agree. This film was not just another fun animated kids film. K-pop Demon Hunters is a celebration of Korean culture, incorporating many aspects such as traditional Korean folklore, clothing, and mythology, as well as language. For example, Saja Boys has a dual meaning in which it means both lion and reaper who guides souls to the afterlife. The name adds depth and irony, sounding like a powerful lions, but actually being soul-stealing reapers. There are many cultural meanings throughout the movie, and here to tell you more about them and why they are important to Korean culture and history is Hyuna Choi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Hyuna Choi. I'm from UTA. I teach Korean language and culture at the University of Texas at Arlington. I am honored to be here at TCC. Thank you so much for inviting me, Dr. Northrop and TCC. You guys have a beautiful campus. Yeah, and these lovely two ladies already explained about K-pop Demon Hunters film really well. So I think I can go home now. However, today, hopefully my session will be something with political and cultural context with the film. Okay. Today's lecture objectives, I have three for you. So through K-pop Demon Hunters film phenomenon, first we want to have a look at exploring the historical and cultural roots of Korea. And secondly, I want to talk about, we want deepen our understanding the global influence of the Korean wave, which is called Hallyu. Also, lastly, let's reframe the K-culture as creative collaboration and soft power. So, any of you guys watched the K-pop Demon Hunters yet? Right. How many of you guys watched more than 3 times? Okay, you guys are legit fans, right? Okay, so some of my Korean language students at UTA also love this film, and the main character, right? Technically, right? So many beautiful characters are presented, demonstrated in this film, but obviously, your girl group, Huntrix, right? In the middle, we have Rumi and the Mira to the right there, and the Zoe to the left. So these three girls, obviously, very, very unconventionally having the girl power in the center of the movie. Their role in the film is basically fighting demons. Okay, right. So they do not just only fight physically with demons. Their main goal on the stage is try to get rid of the evil spirit with their singing and dancing. Their performance and their love and support from the fan group function as the